Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. If you had any hope for the box office superhero coming this summer, well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news because Disney is just going to continue being Disney. Nothing's going to change. They don't learn from their mistakes. They don't learn from the failing box office numbers. Deadpool and Wolverine was an anomaly that had nothing to do with Disney's ability or inability to write a compelling story. People wanted to see Deadpool and Wolverine on the screen together. That's why that movie was successful. You have one TV show after another with abysmal plummeting ratings as the season goes on, less ratings, lower viewership from one series to another. And you would think there was some hope coming this summer for one rather particular movie, but now, of course, actors can't seem to just not speak. They can't help themselves. Disney can't help themselves. Actors can't help themselves. And of course, I'm talking about Fantastic Four First Steps because, well, it's going to be for the modern audience. That doesn't actually exist. This article from Black Park Place, Fantastic Four First Steps makes politically charged MCU changes to characters centered on gender politics and masculinity. If this was from another website, I would call this hyperbolic kiki. I would call this jumping the gun. But I read the statements and went, just after banging my head against the table a few times to try and forget the statements and wondering why on earth is Disney continues down this path. Yeah, it's pretty spot on, but let's get into it. MCU Fantastic Four will see major politically charged changes to Marvel's classic characters created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1961. Before I continue with this, it is absolutely embarrassing. You have Disney that should be printing money at this point. You have, first they bought the Golden Goose in Star Wars and then cooked it for Thanksgiving dinner and continued to serve the burnt, moldy, decaying leftovers for Christmas. And now Marvel, just continuing going down that path, is called the MCU, which genuinely there's nothing wrong with the strong female character, but when you have to destroy and tear down and embarrass the male characters in order to make the female characters look good, instead of maybe building up the female characters, well, you fail over and over and over again because you're talking about superhero movies, action movies, big bells and whistles. Your primary demographic, your target audience is going to be guys. The only reason women won't go to these movies to see superheroes is because they want to see Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth with their shirt off doing manly things and manly events and fights and all this other stuff because they want to see them, well, with their shirts off, like I said. Disney has the blueprint. Disney has a stack of blueprints. Hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of blueprints that they can pull from, inspiration from, stories, comic books that fans would be chomping at the bit to throw money at just to see their favorite stories on the big screen. Copy, paste, and go with it. Make it look pretty. Put our beloved comic books, the fantastic stories, the wonderful, compelling, interesting stories, the characters, the heroes' journeys that all of these characters go through. Put it in live action. Put it in animation. You don't have to change anything. And the fans would be throwing money at you. It's something that we've dreamed of since it was all put to paper originally. Things we've talked about, the perfect casting for one character or another. But you believe that you can do it better than the people that created these characters, these franchises, these stories, because you are arrogant and you are failing because of it. It's a shame. It's an embarrassing shame. But back to the article. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is rolling the dice again, and they're going to come up snake eyes for sure. With Fantastic Four First Steps, the 37th entry in the franchise, and it might be its most ideologically loaded to date. Oh, dear me. Director Matt Shakman and stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss-Baccarat are aiming for a retro futuristic take on Marvel's first family. And I have to say, I love the way the trailer looks. I think it looks really cool. If you think back, that's how we pictured the future, and from the 1984 World's Fair and those before it, predicting, envisioning the future and what it would look like in the cars and the technology and everything. And that's what they're doing with this. And I think as far as cinematics, the look, yes, I think they're going to be a winner on that part. However, you can only dress up turd writing so much. The glossy visuals can't... I did not read this article yet, ladies and gentlemen. The glossy visuals can't hide a major shift in character dynamics and storytelling focus. The film represents significant Fantastic Four MCU changes that will see a wild departure. All you have to do is copy the characters from the books. That's it. Why is that so difficult for them? Well, like I said before, they think they can do a better job, and we have to make it for the modern audience. I was talking to my dad today on my ride, and he has even gotten to the point, if he sees anywhere in the marketing the word modern audience, he checks out. Normies are seeing this. My dad is a super normie. He just wants to be entertained. He likes the fun stuff. But when you start advertising, when that is in your marketing, when your actors and actresses go on their little press tours, their little interviews, and they talk about how would the modern audience feel about this, we're updating it for modern sensibilities, modern this, modern that. It's modern bullshit. People, the fans with the money that you want to get in the seats, the fans of the original Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel. When you start trying to modernize it, they see those words, they see those statements, and they check out immediately. They're not interested. They don't want to see another one of their beloved franchises ruined. They're tired of it. Back to the article. While set in their alternate 1960s-inspired universe, First Steps isn't just aiming for period flair. It's clearly designed to reframe the Fantastic Four through a very modern lens. EW's behind-the-scenes coverage reads more like a cultural manifesto than a superhero preview. Let's start with Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Actor Joseph Quinn openly questions whether the classic version of the character, the brash, woman-chasing hotshot that Chris Evans brought to life in the 2005 film, still belongs on screen today. And this is the first of so many lovely statements. Here's the quote. He was branded as this womanizing, because flirting with women is womanizing, but whatever. He was branded as this womanizing, devil-may-care guy. But is that sexy these days? Yes. Women are complaining that guys don't talk to him, that guys don't flirt with him. It's like, well, you did it to yourself. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion. Quinn asked, I don't think so. Well, you just tanked your film, so who cares? This version of Johnny is less callous, so not Johnny Storm, with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness, so not Johnny Storm, about what's driving these attention-seeking behaviors. A self-awareness about what's driving these attention-seeking behaviors. He's a thrill seeker. Johnny Storm was a thrill seeker, an adrenaline junkie. He was brash, cocky, arrogant. That was his character in the movie and the comics. Sure, right? Yes. But we can't have that. We can't have that these days. That's not okay for the modern audience, right? Got to change it. Can't just copy and paste with the character that your fans grew to love and just put that on the screen in live action. Why is that? Why is that a hard concept to believe, to do, to accomplish? Quinn's Johnny is now defined less by fire and flare and more by introspection and social collaboration. Collaboration? Can't read. The old swashbuckling charm has been swapped for sensitivity. This movie is D-O-frickin-A. Then there's Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm, portrayed as both pregnant, because yes, ladies and gentlemen, spoiler alert, she's going to be pregnant in the show. Politically powerful, the head of the Future Foundation, because heaven forbid the smartest man in the world, Pedro Pascal's character, Reed Richards, would be in charge. We can't have that. You cannot have a man in charge of anything in Disney Marvel. We're sticking with the MCU, folks. Nothing is changing. If you had any hope out there that you were going to get better written, less ideologically driven stories, well, to quote Wade Barrett, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for ya. Kirby describes Sue not as a superhero, even though she's a superhero, but as a commentary on modern motherhood and womanhood. Quote, here's the quote. One of the things I love most from Sue's history is when she becomes Malice. Ladies and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the evil version of Sue Storm? Malice, right? I mean, hence the name Malice, and all her dark stuff comes out. So we're praising the evil Sue Storm. That's what we're doing in the Fantastic Four movie. You are describing her coming out as her evil form. The first family of Marvel. With this statement, you are destroying the box office for your movie. Fans are going to see this. Some, of course, will still go to the movies. Of course, I'm going to see the movie because that's part of what I do on my channel. I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I do that with everything. As a normie, as a super normie, if you will. I do that with Devil May Cry. I did that with Ahsoka, the Acolyte, and everything. I will give my likes and my dislikes and my general thoughts. And you're going to get a lot of people just like me that just want to be entertained. They're going to go to a movie and sit down. But the vast majority, the people, genuinely the people you're trying to get the butts in the seats, the fans of the Fantastic Four characters and storylines, you are turning them away. And there is a large group of normies that see modern audience that you're turning away. That's all this little interview is accomplishing, because it's going to go around. People are going to make videos about it, talking about it, sending it out to the masses that wouldn't usually see these sort of interviews. So, with your words, Miss Kirby, and the guy playing Johnny Storm, you're doing more damage than you could possibly imagine. Her quote continues, I was obsessed with that chapter of her life because you wanted to be evil. Am I missing something about Malice? So I wanted to make sure that there were tones of malice in there with her. So, okay. That she wasn't just a stereotype of a goody sweet mother, even though I'm pretty sure that's what people fell in love with it. She was a mother and she was a strong superhero and a mother at the same time. These sort of interviews grow so tiresome. Just promote your movie, talk about the character, talk about how you really hope that the fans will come to the theater and just enjoy the story that we're putting forth. But no. Oh, get away from the stereotype of the goody sweet mother. I've always been really interested in the mess of femininity. Femininity is a mess, and how we can do both. How can you be all the things, not just tough, invincible, powerful woman, but also a mother who gives birth, which is in itself a superhero act. Now, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with this statement right here. Trying to juggle being a strong, powerful, invincible superhero, while at the same time being a caring, loving, giving mother and wife. You notice she didn't say anything about wife right there. Nothing wrong with that in and of itself. Unfortunately, we cannot take it in and of itself. It must be thought of. It must be, I guess, dissected? Oh, not dissected. It must be taken in context with the rest of her statements, which is stereotype of a goody, sweet mother. Doesn't come across very positive. I don't know. Implication is clear. Well, we're not going to get into implications, are we? Well, we got Reed Richards, played by Pedro Pascal, is reimagined not only as the MCU's smartest man, but as a utopian visionary building a new society alongside Sue. Nothing wrong with that. Director Shackman describes them as a couple constructing a better world. Is that that's a positive, right? Here's his quote. If he is the most significantly intelligent person, then she is the most emotionally intelligent person on the planet. Not terrible. Between the two of them, they're building an idealistic society. Well, the idea is good. I do think that. Execution is what matters. Now, the really, truly wonderful quote, the one I'm going to get to, and then we'll wrap this up. Thank you for making it this far. Hit that subscribe button. Idealism replaces the fantastical adventures of the original comic with what amounts to ideological world building. Again, we have to wait and see how they execute it. Even Kirby acknowledges the balancing act. Not Jack Kirby, the creator. We're talking about Vanessa Kirby. Acknowledges the balancing act of rewriting 1960s characters for a 2020s audience. You don't have to do that. You don't. You don't have to take the characters from the 1960s comics either. Maybe the 1990s comics. Some of the more, favorable storylines from there. Take those character ideas and ideals, put them in the retro 60s future retro thing, and mix it up that way instead of 2020 ideals. Here is Kirby's quote. If you played an exact 60s suit today, everyone would think she was a bit of a doormat. Cool, then go to the 80s, go to the 90s. Quote continues. My brain hit a speed bump there, I'm sorry. So figuring out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation, where the gender politics is different. How about you just make the character and put her on screen? Don't bring in gender politics. How about that? Because when you say gender politics, again, just like modern audience, you're turning people away. Do these people not have PR agents? Do they not have, they do not go through any talking points? Don't say this, don't say this, don't say this. You see this phrase right here? It doesn't matter what you think about it. It only matters what the fans think about it. And because, yes, that's all that matters. Potential ticket purchasers. That is who matters. Doesn't matter about modern sensibilities. It doesn't matter what the actors and actresses think. Keep that nonsense to yourself because you are trying to promote a movie. You're trying to convince people that the price of admission is worth their time. And with statements like this, you're telling people it's not. This sort of press tour, these sort of statements do almost irreparable damage to your product. Ask Rachel Zegler about that. Or maybe Rachel Zegler's agent, who is probably bald by now from pulling out his own hair every time she opens up her mouth. Back to the quote. Let's start over with the quote because I know everybody's going to love it. If you played an exact 60s suit today, everyone would think she's a bit of a doormat. So, figuring out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation where the gender politics were different and embody that today was one of the greatest joys of this. Oh boy. Eben Moss-Baccarat, I believe, says something a little bit more positive about it. Says Jack Kirby wrote this character of Ben Grimm, the Thing, as a bit of an homage to his father and to the streets that he grew up on. So it does feel like home to me, and the production did a beautiful job recreating that. You see, he's smart. Moss-Baccarat is an intelligent individual and knows how to give an interview that is not going to tear the fan base down the middle, or even worse. One grounded performance may not be enough to anchor a film, just like one episode of a series is not enough to save the entire series. This, I saw a post on the socials, on the X's and the Twitters that said it had a picture of Fantastic Four First Steps sitting next to Thunderbolts. I'm already forgetting the name of the show. And it said, which one of these is going to make $1 billion? And my response was, neither one of them. Fantastic Four First Steps, people will be hesitant to go to the theater. Articles like this, statements like that from the two actors are enough to push people away. So you're going to have a far less opening weekend box office. And then, if what their statements ring true, that this is an ideological mess of bullshit, then word of mouth will, guaranteed, tank the following weekend. For sure. Now, as far as Thunderbolts go, people don't know who these characters are. They've barely seen them. You would have had to watch any of the amount of homework that is necessary to know who these characters are. It's ridiculous. Disney is failing in that department, making people watch 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 different TV shows on their streaming service in order to understand what any of these characters are is a bit much. And they're continuously doing that with one movie after another after another. Happened with Captain America 4, Brave New World, or Whole New World Order, or New Day, whatever the hell that's called. The number of series you had to watch, that movie tanked at the box office. So, sorry, you have characters people don't know or don't care about taking a chance, and you think that movie's going to break $1 billion? It'll be lucky if it breaks 500 million. I believe Fantastic Four First Steps will probably break 500 million simply because of Fantastic Four alone. Will it have staying power? Will it have legs? I have my doubts. Neither one of these movies will break $1 billion. Fantastic Four will not break $1 billion. I'd be willing to bet on it. But hey, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the statements made by the two lovely actors. How you think that press tour is going to go as we get closer to the movie. But anyway, leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those wonderful, nifty little things that YouTube is expected to do. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.